Welcome to the Uncensored Self Podcast. I am your host, Ryann Gillen, and this is a space where women who value achievement, success, accomplishment, and wealth, but also crave happiness, love, joy, and deep fulfillment come to remember that we get to have both. Not by doing more, but by being more of who we truly are. In this show, we explore identity, energy, alignment, and embodiment because you didn't come here to follow someone else's rules. You came to right your own. Let's dive in. She woke up today, and before her feet hit the floor, she was already behind. Not because anything was wrong, but because that's just how life is now. She's built something real, the life that looks right from the outside. Her calendar, packed. The business, it's moving, it's growing. The people around her are so proud of her. And somewhere between the coffee and the first meeting, she had a thought she didn't say out loud. Is this it? Not in a dramatic way, not in a crisis way, just a quiet, exhausted, when did this stop feeling like mine kind of way. That is who today's episode is for. And if that is you, stay with me, because what I'm about to tell you is not that you need more rest or a better morning routine or a new strategy. What I'm going to tell you is the actual thing that is happening, and it's going to explain a lot about your life. I am Ryann Gillen. This is The Uncensored Self, and today we are going deep and deeper into identity. See, most people call this burnout. A lot of people are blaming menopause and perimenopause. And if you haven't listened to the podcast with my friend Amy, you should, because it's really good about menopause and all the noise around menopause and what that looks like. Some people will explain it as a discipline or a motivation or a focus problem, right? The number of times high achievers will tell me, Ryann, I just need to get my shit together, right? I just need to get my shit together. I just need to get that assistant hired. I just need to get a little bit more organized. Like I just need to get myself together. And what I've learned in my own personal journey, of course, and after coaching literally dozens of high achievers, it's none of those things. It is absolutely positively none of those things. The actual word is misidentification. Misidentification. You have misidentified yourself. You have not lost yourself. You were never really running your life as yourself to begin with. Like if you're really honest, the things that you do on a day-to-day basis, like are they really, truly things that you would choose to do, things you get excited to do, things you want to do, or things you have to do to get the job done? Right? You have been running an inherited journey, if you will, a learned journey, a model handed to you by the industry that you work in, whether you're a realtor or an entrepreneur or you're in the corporate world, right? Maybe you're somewhere in the middle. Maybe social media is your jam. I don't know. The model was handed to you by your upbringing, right? Where were you raised? Who were you raised by? What were their beliefs about work and money and all of the different things, right? The rooms you got into, where you went to college, who you networked with, the coaches you hired, the women you studied, right? Like you are running on this model that all the outside world has told you this is what success looks like. Okay, not just you, all of us. And the fucked up part about this is that running on an inherited identity, on an old model, on a borrowed strategy or blueprint or whatever, is that it will work. It will create results. It will create results because you are you. You've obviously built really incredible things, but here's where the dissatisfaction is coming from. This is why it doesn't feel different, despite having achieved a lot of things that a lot of people don't or haven't. You built them as someone that you were performing, not someone you were being. Right? Like, you know what I'm talking about before you walk into, like, say you're going to an event, right? And you've pulled up and you've parked in the car and you've checked your hair and you put your lip gloss on and you're like, today I'm going to pretend to be professional and I'm going to pretend I know exactly what I'm doing and I'm amazing. But meanwhile, I have 482 unread text messages and 12 emails and my phone is blowing up and I can't remember the last time I drank any water, but I'm winning at life, right? Like that's the performance. I'm going to walk into this meeting and I'm going to blow their mind with how incredible I think that I am. But meanwhile, I am terrified to actually charge what I want to charge because who the fuck am I to be charging that, right? You're building from performance, not who you truly are. And here's the fucked up part. Your body has known the difference the entire time. Your mind, your logical mind, your intellect, your conscious mind, right, is telling you everything is fine. You just need a vacation. You just need a rest. Everything is fine. But your body, that dissatisfaction that you cannot shake, that feeling I described at the opening of this episode, it can tell. It can tell. And I've told my story a lot on this podcast, but I'm going to tell it again today because I think it's really, really important because you're going to find yourself in this journey. And a lot of you are very new to me and to the Uncensored Self, but I started my career in corporate America. Actually, if you really want to go back to my true achiever identity, I was a Division I volleyball player. I grew up in a small town in Paola, Kansas, and my mother told me that the only way out of said small town was a volleyball scholarship. So I got one to a small D1 school in New York. And I wanted my one-way ticket out of Paola, Kansas, please. And thank you. I am a New Yorker now, right? And then I went to college in New York and very quickly learned that New York was not for me. And then relocated to Orlando, Florida with a girlfriend right after college, graduated college a year early. Got a job selling radio advertising in Orlando, Florida, and I just started climbing the ladder. My career just took off. I became a commission sales rep. I was good at it. I did everything I was supposed to do. I showed up on time. I stayed late. I put in the hours. I was being a rookie, right? I got the job. I did it. I grew, and then 2008 happened, so I packed my shit up and I moved back from Orlando back to Kansas City, and I got a job in radio, and I was actually making more money than I was making in Orlando. Don't tell anybody, right? And then the economy went to shit, and so then I went and got an MBA, and then I just continued to climb the ladder. I got into sales training and enablement. Like my career was unfolding exactly the way that I thought that it would. And here I am. It's 2017. I am sitting in the corner office. I am now the director of sales for a digital advertising agency here in Kansas City. I just had my first kid. I have just built my dream home that I'm moving into very soon. I have just picked out all my furniture for this job. I don't have to travel anymore. Like, holy bananas. Everything I thought that I ever wanted was happening in 2017. I had a 6-figure salary, a 6-figure bonus structure. You know, my husband, now ex-husband, was so supportive of me, of my story, of my life. I mean, it was just so good, right? And then I sat there in that office that I just picked out all the furniture for. And I thought this would feel different. Actually, now it's coming through as this can't be it. This can't be all God put me on this planet to do. This can't be it. Like arriving was supposed to feel like I was supposed to feel something. I had it fucking all. I had everything that I had ever written down on a goal board in some capacity. It felt like not enough. So I do what any high achiever does. And I'm like, I'm going to go get another job. Clearly, I'm just burnt out. I've been in sales and marketing in some capacity for 15 years. I have a director level title now. I can get a job anywhere, right? And through networking, discover entrepreneurship, very specifically online entrepreneurship, the education space, consulting space, right? And became an entrepreneur. And that idea happened in 2018. I think I quit my full-time job in 2019 on the heels of maternity leave of Miss Georgia Grace. But I didn't leave corporate to find myself. A lot of people are like, I got to go find myself. For me, somebody told me that there is a way to make more money and nobody gets to tell you what to do. And I was like, yes, please, more, please. And duh, right? Entrepreneurship. But nobody told me that. The ladder that I was told to climb was the corporate ladder. It was the safe ladder. It was the smart ladder, right? It was the ladder that was going to, that I should be climbing, obviously. Duh. But what wound up happening is when I made this switch from corporate, climb the ladder, do what I'm told, I took that same identity with me to entrepreneurship. I took it right into my business. Because I thought the environment was the problem. I've just been doing this same thing for a while now. I just need to shake things up, right? So what did I do? I packed up my identity, follow the steps, do it right, be a good girl, kind of, sort of. And if you don't like my good girl attitude, I'll be a real bitch, right? I packed that up and I brought it with me. Same operating system, right? Same identity, different building. So what did I do? I got into entrepreneurship and I looked around. Who's winning? So I did what they did. She looks like she's winning. She's retired her husband. She has a kid. She's making millions of dollars. I don't even know what that looks like. Yes, please, more, please. And so I did it. I joined a coaching program. It was in 2019. I joined that coaching program in 2019 and followed that plan and followed that path to a 7-figure year in 2021. Right? So 2017, I get the idea. 2018, I start the business. 2019, I live corporate. 2021, I'm now running $1 million company. Well, now it's 2 companies at this point in the game, right? I did it all. I had a team of 12, payroll. I was live launching every 6 to 8 weeks, right? Like I was podcast guesting all the time. My calendar was on from 8 to 5, revenue targets that would blow people's fucking mind. I actually built it. I did all of it in entrepreneur land, and it still felt the exact same way. In fact, it felt worse. Because this, I didn't even know was possible, right? Like my corporate career, it took me 15 years basically to build, right? Like somebody said, this is the path, follow the path. It took me 15 years. Well, I got into entrepreneurship, right? I got into that world and holy bananas, it only took me 2 years to build it. And I was like, $1 million, I didn't even know I wanted $1 million. And now $1 million isn't enough. Like what the actual fuck? Here's what it cost me to continue to operate like that at a very high level, achieving externally money. At this point in time, 7-figure year, we have now upgraded that house that I built a couple years ago and thought was the bee's fucking knees. Now we live across town, in a 5-bedroom, 6-bath, 6-bedroom, 5-bath. Either way, too many bedrooms, too many bathrooms, house on the golf course. I bought a brand new car that I didn't negotiate a fucking dime for. I've hired somebody to come in to do my meal prep for me. Like, life is fucking good. And I am crying on the floor of my shower. Here's what it cost me: bankruptcy, a divorce, the business divorce. So in my business coaching environment, I wound up getting into a partnership with my then business coach. And there was an 8-month legal battle that went around that actually shook me in a way I didn't expect. I really didn't expect it. And that's been a newer realization that I'm like, oh, that really shook my confidence a lot when my friend and my mentor and my business partner accused me of lying and stealing and cheating. Weird. We're all still just doing the work, right? We're all still just doing the work, the years of effort, because I didn't give up. Like when all this happened and everything fell apart, I didn't give up. I kept going and I was like, I'll just work harder. I'll just work harder. I threw myself into work. So much effort with so little return for what I put into it, right? Like I wanted to disappear. I was like, I don't know how to, I just want to go somewhere else and start over, like cut bait, leave town, like take the kids, start over somewhere else. Right? And not, I mean, maybe it was pretty dramatic, but more like, I just felt like, I just wanted a do-over, right? And here's what I learned, okay? What you're working with, what I was working with at the time, it's not a character flaw, because I thought that it was, right? I just couldn't stick to anything. It's not weakness. I thought that too. You're not strong enough to hold it. It is the inevitable output of running the wrong program. If you run the wrong race long enough, you realize that there is no finish line. Not because you are not fast enough, but because it is the wrong race. If you run the wrong race long enough, you will realize that there is no finish line. And it is not because you are not fast enough. It is because it is the wrong race. How do you know that you're really misidentified? How do you know that you're running the wrong race, right? How do you know? It feels like exhaustion that sleep doesn't fix, right? I'm a great sleeper. I am a great sleeper. And in this season of life, it didn't matter how much sleep I got. I could get 10 hours of sleep or 6 hours of sleep. I still woke up feeling unrested, feeling like it wasn't enough, feeling exhausted, right? And again, I thought that was normal. There was just a lot on my plate. I was really stressed out, right? Other things, I'd gained weight at this point in time. I'd lost a lot of weight after having Davis, had another baby, and just gained weight. And again, chalked it up to I had a baby and a business and I was stressed out and I would work out later, right? Short fuse. Ooh, sweet baby Jesus. I was a bitch. Look at me wrong. Talk to me wrong. Like I was snapping at people because I was never present. I was never present. So if you came into my world and I was sitting there and I looked like I was sitting there paying attention, I wasn't. So when you talked to me, you interrupted my thoughts. And what do you get when you interrupt somebody like me? You get your fucking head bit off, right? It was never present. So I had this beautiful home and these beautiful children and a man who supported me, and I was never present. Standing, like I remember being on the beach in Costa Rica. I had gone on a retreat. I'd gone on a retreat with a group of women who were running big businesses. And I remember sitting on the edge of the beach, just like calling out to God, source, the universe. I don't know that my relationship was dodgy at the time with a higher power. And just like, what is wrong with me? Like I am in the most beautiful place in the world I have ever been. And all I can think about is work and money and payroll. And are the emails checked? And is the Slack channel, right? This low grade tension that was just in my chest all of the time. Right. And nothing was really on fire, right? Everything was fine. Again, externally looking in, nobody had any idea this is what was happening. Okay. Nothing is technically wrong, but nothing is easy either, right? Like everything just feels like a lot of effort. It feels like a lot of energy. It feels like a lot of output, just harder than it should be. When people would ask me, Ryann, what do you want? I would answer in numbers. I want to run $1 million company, right? I used to be, I wanted to be the director of sales. I wanted to run my own business, right? If you asked me what I wanted out of life, or I wanted to run my own sales team, you asked me what I wanted out of life, I would tell you a metric, a number, a job title, somewhere that I wanted to be. I told you what I wanted to be. I told you what I wanted to do, right? But I never explained like the kind of life I wanted to experience, right? It was a number. It was like, here are the metrics. Here are the things I want to achieve. Not, Ryann, what do you want out of life? It was like, here's what I want to achieve. Because somewhere along the way, I stopped asking myself what I actually wanted. It was no longer about what I wanted, right? It became about what I was supposed to want or what I needed to support what I had built. Even if I didn't like what I built, I needed to support it. These people depended on me. I can't just pack up my toys and go home, right? So again, all of these things that I thought were burnout or business model, of course I tried to get rid of you see all the things. It wasn't any of those things. It was the misidentification. I was running on a program that wasn't mine. But what's really fucking exciting about this is that there is a solution. There is a solution. There is a solution to this. Okay. Here's what's really, really important for me when I think of that version of me, right? She didn't fail. She succeeded at being someone she was not. I still to this day, quite literally yesterday, the time of this recording, it's March of 2026. So you guys, I don't record too far in advance because I'm pretty intuitive, but I'm actually re-recording this. Someone actually told me, Ryann, it didn't look like you sometimes describe what you've been through over the past handful of years as this giant debacle and this giant disaster, and that you were kind of a horrible person. And she was like, that's not true, right? Like she's like, I've been in your world since I read your book back in 2021 or whatever. And she's like, and I never thought like the way that you thought about yourself, right? So that just really confirmed, like, I succeeded at being someone that I wasn't, right? And it's actually harder than failing, right? Because failing is like I just failed trying to do this thing. I thought I failed at being who I was supposed to be. And there's a huge difference there, right? Like that's the misidentification piece. So our identity, my identity, your identity, it's not a job title. It's not a money in the bank account, right? It's the operating system running underneath all of it. So if you keep changing the circumstances like I did, you hear my story, right? I'll get into the job and I'll go here and I'll go there and I'll try this thing and I'll do this thing. If you keep changing the circumstances, but you keep the same identity, you pack it up and you take it with you, you're going to get the same result every single time. Not maybe the same result in the terms of money or same result in the terms of what you achieve, but the same result of a catastrophic ending. Because when things are misaligned, they will end, and you can either end them when your soul tells you to end them, or they will end for you. How many times I literally just coached a client through this the other day who's wanting to call in a really aligned relationship. She's crushing it in her career and she's like, I'm ready. I'm really ready. But her, this story of, in the past when I was in relationships, everybody left, right? People would leave me. And that wound up being a story that happened. Like there's something wrong with me, right? And so it's, but we haven't changed it. Certainly you can't attract. My point in telling you that is like, you're not going to attract the same kind of guy because you're in a different identity, right? Different identity doesn't have to get the same results. So for me, hustle was the identity, right? Saying I will work harder was my identity, right? And what I learned is you cannot effort your way out of an identity problem. And I know you have been trying. I tried for years. Okay. So what I learned, what I realized, what I teach my clients, you have three options. Option one, you can build your life the way everybody else builds it, right? You already know where that goes. You can stay on this path, stay where you are. Status quo, life is good, but not great. A lot of things really well, but it's okay. You can stay there. Option two, I tried this path too, shrink, want less. Well, then all this was going apart and I fell apart after the $1 million year. I told myself that I was okay with wanting less. Like, actually, you know what? I don't really want to run a big business. Like that's not even for me. I just got caught up in what other people wanted. Like, this is just what I want my life to look like. Like I started to shrink. I started to say that it was okay that I wanted less because I just wanted a peaceful life, right? But again, it was because I thought the fact that I wanted big things meant that I couldn't have a peaceful life. To me, it was big things or peaceful life. Big things, the way burnout, frustration, overwhelm, exhausted, unhealthy, all of that, or shrink, want less, get smaller, right? But did you know there was a third option? Because I didn't know there was a third option. And that's why I'm so passionate about telling you there's a third option. Decide who the fuck you are and build from that. Decide who the fuck you are. Because you know that you are really fucking talented. You know that you are smart. You know that you are capable. You know all of that, which is why it frustrates you so motherfucking much that your life doesn't feel like a 10 out of 10 all the time, because it fucking should. So for me, I decided, which is a total 180 from who I was before, was that I want a $10 million lifestyle business. Woo, that was uncomfortable to admit, because before, to me, the old identity, a $10 million company was this like giant conglomerate of a thing. And no, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. It is a lifestyle business. I run it from a laptop, a camera, and a mic. My life is full. My living makes me money. Family time, adventure, a calendar, that is mine. That is what I am building. That is who I am, right? I spent years thinking I had to choose between that life and that number. And I do not, and neither do you. You do not have to choose between ambition and alignment. That is the lie we were sold. That is what the identity work and the identity reset is actually about. So what is an identity reset? This was the work that I did when I realized, like, holy fucking bananas, the common denominator here is me, right? It is me. And I tried to do a whole lot of external things. And it finally was like, I got to do the work on myself, right? And at the core of that work is identity. How do you see yourself? Because most of us are moving through the world, again, with this borrowed identity, with this misaligned identity, with these belief systems that don't serve who we are. And that's where the dissatisfaction is coming from. So the identity reset is not a rebrand, right? It's not a new strategy. It's certainly actually not becoming someone different. And I used to think identity work and this type of work was about like, I needed to become, we say that a lot. I've probably said that to you. You need to become the version of you. It's not actually a becoming. It's already who you are. It's remembering. It's removing the stories and the masks and the bullshit. So the identity reset is this opportunity for you and I to work together in a really intimate container about getting to the core of who you are and what you fucking want. Because like I said, if I ask you what you want and you're like me and you're like, I'd like to have this much money and I'd like to live in this neighborhood and I'd like to buy a second house and I'd like to, when you have a list of accomplishments as who the fuck you are, then you are operating from an identity that is likely not yours. But you can't tell me who you are and what you want in a way that is not quantifiable by money or by where you live or by your job title. That's who the identity reset is for. So the first thing I'm going to give you is a private teaching. And the private teaching is the actual mechanics of how your identity has been running the show, right? So I explain kind of the real esoteric adventure of, understanding your identity as the creator of your reality, but then also understanding your human identity, right? The ones that we've been talking about here, the ones that we've learned or borrowed or grew up with or whatever the case may be. And then I think the real power of the identity reset is in the workbook. I tried to avoid, I'm going to tell you the truth here, the reflection part of this journey, because the reflection part of this journey is actually the hard part of this journey. Sitting down with the workbook that I created and answering some of those questions is likely going to be uncomfortable because they are the questions that you have been avoiding, right? What do you actually want? And it is scary to say that out loud because if what you actually want is different than what you have, there's some things that have to change. And we as humans do not like change, right? Who are you without the role? Many of you don't know. I know I sure as fuck didn't. I had no idea who I was when I wasn't being $1 million business owner, right? We also have to admit, what have you been telling yourself you can't have? That's just not for me. Because we have to admit that true because there's not a single thing in your life that when you decide that you want it, you don't fucking get it. So if you're telling yourself it's not for that's a you thing, and facing that can be hard. And because of that, the third part of this program or the third part of this offer is 60 minutes one-on-one call with me, right? Just you and I. And what I am really good at in these conversations over and over again, this is the feedback I get from clients, is seeing the version of you that is still performing, even when you think you're just being honest. I can feel it and I know it because I used to fucking live there. Right? So it's not about me calling you out. It's to call you forward. It's to invite you up. There's a difference here. I'm not here to make you feel wrong about who you are and what you want. I'm here to help you remember you were right all along, just about the wrong things. So at the end of our identity reset with your workbook, with your teaching on it, and then our time together, you're going to walk away knowing exactly who you are and exactly what you want, not as a concept, as a fucking decision. And clarity is the clearest signal. You can hear it in my voice, right? When you are clear on who you are and what you want, and you have a vision that you can pour your heart, soul, and energy into, you know that you are unstoppable, right? And that is what has been missing. This clarity of I am a fucking winner. I am a badass. I get to do and have it all. I can have everything that I want. I don't have to choose. I get to have it all. That is who you are. And when you think from that space, life gets to be so fun. So fun. That is the identity reset. It's $297. I have a limited number of them. At the time of this recording, I have booked 4. So I have 30 available. It's 26. By the time this gets to you, I'm not necessarily sure, but I am limiting the number. So don't wait until the last minute to book, especially if you're one of those people. You want to book that because here's something I know about you, the woman listening to this right now. Ooh, here's what you're going to do. You're going to close the app. And you are going to tell yourself you're going to come back to this later, right? Wherever you're listening to this, whether you're on your podcast or whatever, and you're saying, I'm going to come back to this later. And I need to say something about that. This is really the crux of identity work for me. And what I think I really learned in the entire story that I just told you is that there is no later. Not because I'm telling you to hurry, not because the spots are running out, though they are, but because later is the identity. Later is the same program that you have been running for years. It's the program. It's the identity who's driving your life right now. I will deal with myself after I handle everything else. I will figure out what I want once things slow down. I will do the work on me after I finish the work on the business. You have been waiting for later for years. I know that I did. And later keeps not coming. You already know that something is off. You've known that something is off for a while. The question is not whether or not you need this identity reset. The question is whether or not you are finally ready to stop fucking waiting on yourself. because you've been listening to this and thinking that this is me. That is not a coincidence. I don't believe in coincidences. I obviously play the energy game. You were here for a reason. It means that this is yours. It means that the life that you want, that you can be, do, and have whatever the fuck you want. Right? I think that's available to you. So go to the link in the show notes. It's on all my bios and social media. Book your identity reset. I cannot wait. I cannot wait. I cannot wait to spend time with you. I'll see you soon. Thanks so much for tuning in to the Uncensored Self podcast. If this conversation cracked something open for you, trust that that's the work. And share this episode with a woman in your life who's ready to stop performing and start creating. And if you haven't already, hit subscribe, leave a review. It helps this message reach the women who need it most. Remember, you're the creator. The rules are yours. And your uncensored self, she already knows what to do. Keep leading, keep listening, keep becoming.